People pleasing is a problem when you have a constant fear and anxiety of displeasing others, even when you obviously displease yourself while trying to please them. You end up losing your true self. You lose your true life, your identity, and in fact your reality. The most painful part is that at the end of the day, the reason you choose to please others may not even be achieved. Because instead of getting love and acceptance in return, they'll take advantage of you, and as a result, your dignity, value, and respect will be undermined. Living your life solely to please people is definitely something you have to stop, because it's like living other people's lives when you have your own life to enjoy. You are more or less non-existent if all you try to achieve is what others want. Have you lost your voice because you're afraid of displeasing others by speaking out? Or are you the type who has been subjected to perpetual slavery because you want to always be in agreement with everyone and loved by all? Do you feel like you've had enough of all this and you really want to own your life? Then this video is purposely for you. My aim here is to make you acknowledge your true value, to make you realize that you're an individual who shouldn't just live to please people, but you're meant to be pleased as well, that you have a voice, and that your voice can be heard too. Now, let's dig into the video. How do we do this? How do we stop people pleasing? 1. Understand what matters most in life. There are many things that can be considered very important in this life. Those are the things you should consider first. But even at that, there should be one thing that is the most important of all. What could that be? Now listen. The first step to take if you really want to stop being a people pleaser is to realize that you as an individual are the most important factor to consider in your own life before any other thing or person. Well, I'm not saying you should become an unhealthy, selfish person, but at least every good deed often starts from within. Therefore, if you must please others, why not start by pleasing yourself? You are the most important person in your world and existence. This is true. 2. Know exactly what you want and do it. Have you ever asked yourself the questions like, what do I want or what don't I want? Have you considered the things you can accept and things you cannot accept personally, and especially when dealing with people? That's another thing to think about if you want to live your life and not other people's lives. Knowing what you want and boldly differentiating them from what you don't want, like what you can tolerate and what you can't tolerate, will go a long way to help you do the needful and leave the rest. For example, as a girl in a romantic relationship, you could tell yourself, yes, I can visit my boo, but I'll never sleep over at his house when we are not yet married. That's a typical way of deciding what you want for yourself, despite what others may think. You may also want to visit him and sleep over at his house but never cook for him until marriage. Yeah. Whatever works for you, that's the motto. When you learn how to make such choices and stick to them, then you're owning your life, because you're doing exactly what you want for yourself. 3. Work on your self-confidence and self-esteem. It's vital to build the confidence you have in yourself. Self-confidence, and to attach more value, worth, and respect to yourself. That's self-esteem. Without believing or having confidence in yourself, you can never acknowledge your worth or value. Can you even respect yourself? Of course not. Now when you don't have enough confidence to value yourself, how then can you value your decisions and do what is best for you? How can you value your opinion enough to voice it out? And in fact, how can you even have the guts to be yourself? Building your confidence and self-esteem is simply fundamental for you to take charge of your life. 4. Learn to disagree at times. The earlier you learn to say no, sometimes the better chance you stand to stop being a people pleaser. It is not evil or even remotely bad to disagree at times, especially when it doesn't come to terms with your core values, which involve the things you really want to yourself. Going against your values to please people doesn't make you a good person. You only end up displeasing yourself. These same people are more likely not to regard the effort you're making to impress them because you gave them the ground to disregard you. You didn't value yourself enough by going against your core values. The more you disagree to live for others, the more you agree to live your own life. And the more you agree to live your own life, the more life becomes generally smooth for you. 5. Always remember that it is your life, not theirs. Your life belongs to you alone, not to any other person. Always remember that when dealing with people. When you're conscious of the fact that you own your life, it will go along to prevent you from falling for those manipulations that people are bound to trigger, which could lead you to live only to please them, even to your own detriment. However, remember that by saying you should live your life, it doesn't mean you should disregard others. Rather, it means that you should place more and more regard to yourself, your decisions, and your opinions. 6. Learn to unlearn. While growing up, you must have learned a lot, but about how important it is to try your best to always be good to people in order to be loved by everyone. Well, I'm not saying it's bad to be good. Yeah, neither am I implying that it's not good to be that epic person, epic man or woman of the people. But the fact is that in the modern world, being a good person is not the same thing as being good to people. Why is it that? Because being a good person entails doing good always, no matter what. But nowadays, people typically see you as a good person only when you please them always. What you are doing to please them might actually be a bad thing, but it's none of their business. Just please them always. That's all what matters to them. In this era, when you please others against yourself, you're simply not wise enough, and you'll surely be undervalued. Plus, today, it is assumed that you only stick to yourself or your ideas when you value yourself and when you stick to others. It simply means you value others more than yourself. Therefore, it is important that you unlearn the things you learn which are not necessarily correct. 7. Compromise at times when it's okay. This is probably the smartest move to make if you want to influence people to go by your own opinions and decisions when it matters the most. By compromising, I don't mean you should always forego your core values in order to please others. Rather, I mean you should allow people to win when it's not your top priority. By their opinion, in that case, till it becomes a top priority for you, then it will be easier to say no, since you already favored them once or twice. 8. Understand that not everyone can be pleased. You can do all you want. You can climb up a cliff and down with bare hands. You can even swim in the Atlantic or trek to China from South Africa and back in order to please people, and still you won't entirely please everyone. Is it worth it to stress yourself trying to please someone who might not be pleased after all? Is it worth it to pass through the anxiety and fear of displeasing people when you haven't even thought of pleasing yourself? Remember that you matter first because it's your life. Supposing you die trying to please others, you die alone, not them. In fact, their body will live on when you're gone. If you have this in mind, then you learn to do only the right thing, whether it pleases anyone or not. As long as it's right for you, do it. That's one way of shunning the people pleaser attitude. 9. Learn to be loved and love yourself. Maybe you don't know, but actually some people will have a way of perceiving when you're not being your real self. They notice it when you are trying too hard to impress others, and your content act of being a nice person, a people pleaser, will only stop your relationship with such people instead of building it. They will simply see you as a pretender instead of seeing you as a good person that you're trying so hard to portray. Learn to love yourself and be proud of it. By proudly loving yourself, it is far easier to gladly be yourself. That's when those who really appreciate you for who you are will respect and value more. Life itself is easier when you learn to love yourself and live your life. Nothing can be more stressful than being what you are not, just to impress. I don't promote selfishness, zero tolerance and zero empathy. Selfishness is evil and it creates hatred in society. But not being a people pleaser simply means you understand that being fair and nice to people is good, and that buying people's opinions sometimes is also not bad. It only becomes a major problem to you individually when you lose yourself trying to please everyone.